Hi, welcome back, and we're going to be talking about Thone's Nibbles number 67 today. This comes from Luke 23, and I gave it an interesting title here, The Spiritual Side of Jesus' Death. Now, we understand, the thing that is depicted in movies and often from the pulpit and so on is the physical suffering, pain, blood, awful stuff of Jesus' death. But we need to point out that there also is a spiritual side to Jesus' death, which is probably far more important than what he suffered. And this comes from Luke 23, verses 44 through 48. Now it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. Then the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was torn in two. And when Jesus had cried out with a loud voice, he said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Having said this, he breathed his last. So when the centurion saw what had happened, he glorified God, saying, "Certainly this was a righteous man." And the whole crowd who came together to that sight, seeing what had been done, beat their breasts and returned. Okay, so this was a moment of darkness from the 6th hour to the 9th hour. That's basically, I think, 9 o'clock till noon, I believe. Maybe noon till 3. Anyway. Then the sun was darkened. The veil of the temple was torn in two. There was violent physical things that happened. And then Jesus cries out, "Into your hands I commit my spirit." And then an interesting thing happens. A Roman centurion, not likely to be a believer in either the Jewish Yahweh or the Christian Jesus, recognizes that was a righteous man we just killed. And how did he know that? Because of the physical manifestations that he, in his polytheistic mind, put together as being acts of God. And then all the other people in the crowd agreed with that, and they smote their breasts, saying, I agree with that, and what have we done? So, a moment in eternity, that's what I feel like this was. Why is this in the Bible? To emphasize that this was not just a normal event, but an event changing human history for all time. And there I said it. It's not just a routine crucifixion, that the Romans did lots of crucifixions. It's not just a normal death of a good human being that isn't crucified. It was an event which changed human history for all time. And let's talk about that a little bit in a minute. Who is it written to? It was written to all present at his crucifixion. The communication. Those who witnesses this event recognized it was more than another Roman execution. Application to my life. Here we see the physical, that is a dark sky. The religious, a veil torn in two. The most important veil in the temple torn in two. Spiritual, Jesus gives up his life for all. And historical, all witnesses recognized his righteousness. All focus on this one event from all those perspectives. We have a physical perspective. Why is the sky turning dark? I don't see the moon. This isn't an eclipse. What's going on? Then there is a spiritual thing. A religious thing. The veil in the temple separated the holy place from the holy of holy places, and never the other side of the veil was never seen except to the high priest once a year. And so suddenly this rips down. So that is clearly a religious comment by God. Spiritual. Jesus gives up his life for all. That's what it meant spiritually. And historical event. There were real human beings that were not particularly biased one way or the other in this battle between the Jews and the Christians, who recognized that Jesus was righteous. And all of that was focused on the observation of this one single event, which, really happened from, it was about 3 hours long, the part that's being described here. The darkness started from the 6th hour and went to the 9th hour. So that's 3 hours. And really right at the end of the 9th hour is when everything else happens. So this is a 3-hour period. The focus of all these different aspects come together in one. Amazing, amazing. God's message to me, all this was done for all in this one event of grace. That is, this isn't just good for the people who were alive on earth in the last roughly 2,000 years since it happened. We could say 1,980 years, probably, roughly, since it happened. But it wasn't even for all those people. Man, that was a lot of people. But it's for everybody that ever lived before that event, and for everybody who will ever live after now. It's for everybody all the time. And it's one event of grace which rectified, if you accept that rectification, every man's sin problem forever. My personal response. God, give us the grace to understand your spiritual mind as well as your physical will. We know about God that there is a physical will. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. There's a whole bunch of physical acts which we are banned from doing, and rightly so. However, we want to have what we really need. We wouldn't need those physical rules if we had an understanding of the spiritual mind of God, knowing what it is, what goodness is and what ungoodness is, what sin is and what no sin isn't. If we had that idea spiritually, then there's no temptation to kill people, to rape people, to yell and scream at the waitress in your favorite restaurant because she got your order wrong. There's no need for any of that if we understand the spiritual will of God. So that completes this lesson with a bang. I guess. And we'll see you next time.